according to a Gallup report, internet access grew substantially in 5 African countries between 2019 and 2021. However, sub-Saharan Africa still remains one of the least connected parts of the globe. Now, for some perspective, VOA's Paul Ndiho spoke with RJ Reinhardt, an analyst, writer and editor for Gallup.com.
As part of Gallup's World Poll, every year we ask individuals around the globe if they have access to the internet. We have a specific question. Literally, it's, do you have access to the internet in any way, whether on a mobile phone, a computer, or some other device? And in our data from sub-Saharan Africa, we found some substantial, meaningful increases in internet access in a number of countries. The largest increase we saw was actually in South Africa, where there was a 14 percentage point increase, rising from 52% in 2019 to 66% of the population now has access to the internet. We also saw in Senegal a 10-point increase from 41% to 51% of the population with Africa. In Guinea, a similar 10% increase from 23% to 33%. In Sierra Leone, there was also a 10% increase from 16% to 26%. And finally, in Nigeria, we also again saw a 10% increase from 26 to 36%.
What factors led to that? What do you think contributed to some of those countries performing better than the others?
It's hard for us to draw any real causal conclusions about this, but we know at the same time that these increases were going on, there was quite a bit of both public and private investment going on in the infrastructure for the internet in the region. For instance, the World Bank in 2021 invested $250 million in internet infrastructure, particularly in South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. And that was really where they had a lot of their data centers to try to build internet access across Africa, and more specifically sub-Saharan Africa.
What do you think is hindering the development of internet access across the board?
We do know that there is a lack of infrastructure in a lot of countries. We know that during the 90s and into 2000s that there was a big push in Africa to build more mobile infrastructure, and that that's been great. But again, maintaining that and finding the money, especially during the current situation on the world, is difficult, especially when you've got issues concerning inflation, and also now food prices are just skyrocketing due to disruptions from the Ukrainian war. Really continuing the momentum that at least some of these countries have is going to be difficult.
How does Africa compare to the rest of the world?
Africa is typically one of the less connected regions of the world. It's really kind of behind. It's really only above South Asia in terms of connections. For instance, in South Africa, you've got 72% of the urban population has access to the internet, but only 61% of the rural population. And if you look at Nigeria, that's even more stark. 56% of individuals living in an urban area have internet access, but only 32% of individuals in rural areas.
Reinhardt, thank you so much for your insight.
All right, thank you very much.
And that was RJ Reinhardt, an analyst, writer and editor for Gallup.com, speaking with VOA's Paul Ndiho.